Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Monday's come back around. We're still one short, but a big week of football action this time around. A lot of big game, big clubs doing some big things or some questionable things in many regards. But all in all, it feels good to have proper football back on the weekend. How did you see it in totality?
An interesting week. We had some big teams drop some points.
Mm-hmm.
Big teams get last-minute winners.
Yes.
And then, a game last night which, in totality, you'd probably expect. If not, it was probably a fair result. There wasn't anything outrageous really that happened. Maybe some decisions, but then again, they seemed pretty fair, I'd say.
Yeah, I think in the end.
Yeah, in the end, like, obviously, if that's your team, you'd probably be a bit furious with some of them.
Yeah.
But looking at it from a neutral's point of view, they seemed like there was nothing there that you go, oh, that's outrageous. So
Yeah, absolutely.
just good to have football back, to be honest.
Proper Prem footy back.
Yeah, like it's always hard to get around international football, especially if it's not a big tournament. Like everyone gets around like the big tournaments, but just a bunch of friendly games and European qualifiers and like Asian qualifiers, like they're at 3 a.m. in the morning. Like
Get it over and done with.
For me to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning in the first place, I need my team to play.
Let alone some random nation.
Yeah, so it was a bit hard, but all in all, good to be back.
Good to be back. We'll touch on it, I guess, as we go through, but there was, I think, 5 red cards or 4 red cards from the weekend.
Yeah.
So let me say about that. Shane Flynn's on here because interesting viewpoints on that red card, but we'll get to that when we do. But a little bit discussed there with the cards on the weekend. There was a red card in this game, the first game, Spurs 4, West Ham 1. I can't say I didn't expect it. I had a feeling it was going to end this. I think I predicted 3-1 to Spurs, but tell you what, the manner they went down in the end, like they went up, you're like, it looks a bit better. And then they just like after half time, just forgot how to play football. There was goals in the 52nd, 55th and 60th minute to close it out. And you're just thinking, my God.
Well, I've been very bullish on West Ham probably through the last 18 months. They've been like my little team that I've gone and like backed them in. Backed them in last year, came across with the Chockies.
Yep.
And then this year I've gone and backed them in even more. And it's just really disappointing. And I've probably mentioned this earlier on, maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago, but with the team they have, they should be fighting in the Villa Newcastle category, or at least like knocking on that door.
Yeah.
I'm not whether they should be finishing above those teams. It's their first year of like
proper,
like of proper, I'd say, quality. But they should at least be knocking around that area.
Yeah.
Or at least being in and around the top 10.
Yeah.
Like you look at them last year, you'd say they had a decent squad last year, especially with the inclusions they made, and then they've just gone and made like great signings over the summer.
And the signs aren't getting used as well. Like
it's so interesting.
Fulkrug.
Like Fulkrug, he was performing in the Champions League for Dortmund,
and now he can't.
Like then they're bringing the likes of Wan-Bissaka, and maybe Wan-Bissaka isn't the guy that's going to make you finish in the top 4, but for what West Ham want, he's definitely competent.
Yeah.
And then the likes of Rodriguez, and it's like, I'm not really too sure what's going on. Like, they've allowed Bowen to play now on the right, but then he's just starting Mikel Antonio. Like, I don't really understand what the point of that is. He's all right, but Mikel Antonio is a guy that probably is a striker for a relegation fighting team.
He wouldn't start for Leicester. He wouldn't start for Southampton.
No.
Because Archer, he might start for Everton because, DCL might be injured. But in all, the teams that are down there, he wouldn't start for any of them.
It's just confusing to me because that team they have there, even like the likes, their probably biggest deficiencies from last year was the striker position, the centre-back position. They've brought in 2 competent centre-backs and a very competent striker.
Yeah.
So that was their 3 positions. You go, they improve. They take that next step up.
Yeah.
They've gone and improved it, and they've gone backwards. And that's where you put the questions up, like, does he not need the sack? I know it's really early on, but I think if you look at what Moyes did, they got rid of Moyes to take that next step. They obviously, the board, the directors, everyone had this opinion. I don't know where they got it from, but like they obviously had it that Moyes got us to this stage to take us to the next level.
Yeah.
With these signings and this new manager, that's how we go to the next level. That's how we go from, you know what, we're finishing 10th and we're competitive to maybe playing Conference League football.
Yeah.
And then maybe after that, maybe playing Europa League football. And a gradual step up to the category of the Villas and the Newcastles, that maybe even the Tottenham category around their United category as of late, that category. But, yeah, I don't understand it. Like, they had their best season last year. We said it. If you're ever going to get rid of Moyes, it should have been 2-3 years back.
Yeah.
Not now.
Not now. I look at it, and it's the whole like classic media like English passport, because he's not got English passport. He must be better than the Scottish dude and stuff like this. And I look at it though, and he just doesn't know how to manage games. Like on the weekend, you can see that second goal. Just I said with Tottenham equally so. Just manage the game a little more, sit a little bit deeper, and it feels like they got no game style, like no attack. Defensively they look alright, but going forward, there's no attacking game style.
No,
nothing. Like Kudus doesn't get involved, Bowen doesn't get involved. Like I'm bigger having Bowen on the right, but there's no point having him there if you're not going to like play with wingers and play with flair. Like it's just, I just think it's like you said, destined for a really.
Well, I think it's so
end.
early on, and when you're going to bite the bullet with Moyes, you've at least got to back in the new guy.
Yeah,
because otherwise, it looks like you can't go. No matter what the outcome is, you can't go 8 games, 9 games, and go bang, we're biting the bullet now. But I think if it comes to like the match week 15, 16, they're in the similar position to they are right now and haven't made any progress. I think it might be time to say goodbye.
If you're serious, you got to go earlier on, and like the Potters and the likes are still around, so maybe try and get them. But I just worried for West Ham because on the off season was their chance to get a proper like advancement. But I think they just took a left step. Like they just took a step to the left.
It was a weird one. It's a bit like what we've talked about with other managers. I think certain like supporter groups would be happy with certain managers getting the sack, but I think it's like no one's at the moment like sack these managers.
Yeah,
it's more like if these managers get sacked, just make sure we bring in someone better or at least like seems better.
Yeah.
Are they going to be better? I don't know, but at least someone that like don't bring in someone who has done a lot of those side steps through their career.
Yeah.
You go look at like Villa, for example. They bit the bullet with Gerrard.
Yeah.
And Gerrard wasn't having the best of seasons, but some stuff were genuinely working.
There's parts.
There was parts of that game that were working, but they bit the bullet because Unai Emery was on the market. They secured Unai.
And they went forward like
that's a big forward step. Like any Villa supporter would have said at the time, Unai comes in for Gerrard, they were happy.
Yeah.
But if they had gone back then and gone, someone like Southgate had come in for Gerrard, that would have been, or Lampard, or all those managers that were in a similar bracket, it would have been like, why? You don't just sack a manager for...
Yeah.
No, you sack a manager to get a better manager.
To go forward. Tell you what, Nathan, when I called it, I wouldn't be surprised if Moyes comes back again. The third stint.
Maybe.
Because he's the only one that has success at that club, I feel like. Everyone else just can't. Like when I maybe Bilic for like the first when Payet was there. But since, like, you know, we've been like watching the game, I can't remember anyone that's been successful other than for David Moyes.
Definitely not. And you think about it, what he did last year, if he was able to have those signings, if he was able to have that number 9, if he was able like to have, especially him in his defensive setup, have 2 very accomplished, competent centre backs, what could be happening right now? Like, I don't think my prediction was so far off if Moyes was there.
No. You'd hope Lopetegui would take over, but he just hasn't taken over from that. Quickly on Spurs, good game from them. Basuma, Kulusevski, Sonal getting goals. It's one of those games that they needed to have, obviously, after the capitulation 2 weeks ago at Brighton. Is this not just the... I was saying this to one of my mates yesterday. The Premier League, outside of the top 3 teams, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, is this not what we expected a bit? because it's sort of like that middle group is now becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Like the mid-table is becoming more of like a 4 to 12.
Gap.
You're going to get like United, Spurs, Chelsea's that go and win one week and then drop points. And
Because there's a lot more competitiveness.
Game. So like, as I said, I did not expect this, but is this Spurs now? Do we finally think they'll kick into gear from here?
I'm not too disappointed with Spurs' start of the season.
No.
If I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't actually. I think obviously the points doesn't reflect much. There's been a lot of games where they should have took more points, have been the better team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just certain things have happened, and I understand that's where game management comes into hand, and that's where certain factors come in, and like a very good team, if we're talking about especially the top two at the moment, would come away with the 3 points in 95% of those circumstances. But looking at it from a Ange perspective, they're still playing the same football.
Yeah.
They've been on the front foot. I think, I genuinely do think, I don't know if they kick on as of now, but I think looking at their team, I would be very surprised if they didn't finish let's say top six.
Yeah, it's destined.
I think they will have a period where they get a lot of results. I think he's got a good system, and I think Spurs supporters being quite harsh on Ange is, I don't know, I don't really rate it, and I don't know if that's where my Australian bias comes in, but like you look at Spurs over the last 10 years, what have they really done? They had decent patch under Podge.
Yeah.
But again, didn't win anything.
Didn't win anything.
Okay, they finished second and made a Champions League final, but you got to give Ange some time. This team right now is a lot worse than the team Poch had in terms of caliber of players. They've gone and got rid of the man of Tottenham. So I don't know. What are they at the moment? 6th or 5th?
Around there. I'm not looking at their fixtures to come. Like Palace away next week's a big one. Then you've got like a little bit of a tough front. So you got Villa at home, Ipswich at home, then City away, Fulham at home, and then Chelsea on the 9th of December. It's basically Liverpool's their last tough game just before Christmas, 23rd of December. Then they've got Forest, Wolves, Newcastle, Arsenal, Everton, Leicester, Brentford. So you've got a good, decent chunk after Christmas. It's going to be interesting that Villa game in about a week or so's time, because I see both teams that are at their best very similar, but equally when they're slightly off, they're still good, but you can get exploited.
Definitely.
So that's a big game to see. Are they better than Villa yet, or Villa still, like a step ahead of them? So that's going to be a big game to come. But I think we expect that from Spurs, and like you said, they're good enough. They'll find their way to kick into gear. Talk about Villa, they got 3-1 win over Fulham. Again, good start from Fulham with Jimenez scoring, but in the end, Villa just way too good. Another red in that game, 2 yellow cards to Villa Jeans. That was a second red for the weekend, but all in all, accomplished from Villa, got the job done, and a big Emi Martinez save in there as well.
Yeah, he's been on fire recently.
He just cannot stop saving penalties. Ridiculous. Then our boys played United 2, Brentford 1. A game of really two halves in the fact that first half, no one was good. I don't think anyone deserved to be leading.
You say no one is good, but I still think it was very, very, United did, I don't know, United didn't deserve to go in 1-0 down, if not 1-0 up.
I don't think anyone deserved to be up.
I still think United had the better of the chances. Garnacho, I think the difference over the two halves was Garnacho was the only good player on the pitch in the first half.
Yeah. That's valid.
Whereas every United player was good on the pitch in the second half.
Yeah.
I think that was the difference. But in enough, Garnacho probably had 3 or 4 decent chances that you'd expect most wingers to put one of those away, is what I'm trying to get at. Maybe not Garnacho, but if you were to go to any of the top teams, their wingers, whether it's to get those type of chances, you'd expect them to put one away. That will come to bite us in future games if Garnacho can't start to put those goals, put some more away, I reckon.
100%. That just feels like what the team's been though. The XG stats still, I think we're still first for the worst ratio of XG.
To be honest, I think that was our best performance all year though.
It looked more complete. The best bit for me, the amount of times we've tried to hold on to games and not be able to hold on, we actually held on for 30 minutes.
Do you know what it was? Even the subs Ten Hag made. Ten Hag's had this, how can I explain it? And it's actually worked out a negative for United most of the time. Ten Hag's had this thing about we're up 75th minute, takes off all our forwards and puts all our defenders. He didn't really do that until like the 88th minute. Yeah, 88th minute. And even that, he only brought on one extra defender.
Yeah.
Like, he's had this problem where we're actually on the front foot and the other team isn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Then he takes off everyone and he's just like, oh, we're going to sit back and let you now have chances.
Yeah.
Whereas, at least in this game, he was like, oh, Brentford aren't having chances. I'm not going to sit back and now let them have chances and let them get the momentum.
Yeah.
Because I think if he did that, you don't know, they could have definitely got an equaliser.
We saw at the end, because United at Old Trafford always gets nervy when you're up by one goal.
Yeah.
At the end, you see the future. If you'd done that earlier, I think you'd be worried about it. If you did that from the 60th minute, you'd be struggling.
United should have probably, there was a few chances where they should have put away, like the Dalot chance.
Yeah.
I'd say that's very clear cut. A couple of other chances. But all in all, it was a positive performance. I think Højlund back in a striker helps. Like, I rate Xerxes, but he doesn't have that presence as a number 9.
Yeah.
Højlund holds, like you saw him numerous times where Højlund's holding it up and playing off. He plays that semi-Haaland role where it's like he can hold it up
and distribute
and turn. And I think it's really helped, well, especially on the weekend, Rashford and Garnacho.
Yeah.
Even Bruno to a degree.
I think Bruno definitely benefits from a striker.
Yeah. Whereas Xerxes, that dropping in, the problem was, it was like if Rashford and Garnacho didn't take someone off one-on-one, there was a problem. And the problem was then as well, it was more like a 2v1 because one of the centre-backs pushed over.
Yeah, crossed and doubled him.
Whereas Højlund's got that presence. He's taking the two centre-backs and he's the big body. And I think that's really big. So, I think Xerxes off the bench will be good, but I don't see him starting too much unless maybe he starts on like the left wing or something.
Yeah, or it's if Bruno's resting.
Maybe as a 10,
I think Højlund's your proper striker. He got the good finish, went at 2-1. Rashford, great assist. He finally crossed the ball to Garnacho for the first goal. I think all in all, it was a proper post-international game. The first half, again, lacked quality, but second half, everyone woke up.
I'll say one thing, though. Like, as everyone gets fitter, I think until we somehow do have a left back, I think it's pivotal that Martinez starts left back and Dalot at right back. Yeah. Look at Dalot's performance at right back.
I was going to say, whether it be Mazraoui, you chuck him left back because he's a guy he probably can do it, but not great.
He has played there before.
As I would put, Dalot was player of the season last season at right back.
Yeah.
Oh, he did fill in at left back times as well, but like he was our player of the season. He's been off this season. Chuck him back to where he's comfortable, and you saw the performance. It was much better.
Maguire's been competent, and even Evans to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, you've also got, hopefully in the coming weeks, Lenny Yoro back.
In the next month, I think he should be back.
Yeah, coming back. Like, between those three, surely one of them can fill a spot.
Yeah.
With De Ligt. And then Martinez looked good, in my opinion, at left back.
He was all right. I thought a little bit slow, but I guess that's sort of...
But that's all right, because I think what it allows to free up Dalot is so beneficial in its entirety for the team.
Yeah, for United's team. Big win, needed win, big time because the pressure would have came on. So it was a bit of a shock with how easy they got it done. It was Brighton 1, Newcastle 0. Danny Welbeck again. Seriously, this guy's a goal scoring form. He's got his 100th Premier League goal contribution on the weekend. That early goal basically secured it. Newcastle had all the ball, but didn't make any chances. Gordon with a few chances. But I tell you what, I think Flynn's cursed this guy now this season. He's nowhere near his best of last year, but Bruggen made a few good saves. But I tell you what, another game for Newcastle where they either play rubbish and get the result, or they play okay and don't get the result. And I've always been, like, I've always sort of taken the attention off Ten Hag by putting on Eddie Howe, and I'm thinking, like, similar to the West Ham thing, it might backfire, but is Eddie Howe really the manager that's going to get Newcastle going forward? Because I see too many of these type results happening if they want to become that, Saudi-owned team, top 4 every year. I just think they bit off that.
I think very similarly to United. I think both clubs back their manager going into the season.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't think you can bite the bullet yet. I think it's more like maybe mid-November, see how it goes. Yeah. You don't know what could happen. Like, you look at United. United decided not to bite the bullet 2 weeks ago when probably they had the chance to bite the bullet. They've come across with a good result now. Like, 3 or 4 more good results and it frees up. I think same with Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
He hasn't been terrible. They're still, 7th?
Top half.
They're still 7th. You got to see what happens in November at that period, because I think that's when the table will start to really take shape.
Yeah.
I think it's still not hit its straps yet.
Yeah,
There's still a few things like you got to wait to that semi point where everyone's roughly played each other.
Yeah, around that sort of 15 mark.
Yeah, 15 mark, which will really give a better picture of the actual season. And especially for Newcastle, like I think they've got quite a strong team, but with all the teams around them and the likes of probably Chelsea pushing on a little bit, and a few other teams, I think, can you really expect top 4?
Well, no, but in their mould, in their build, it's like that's what they need to do now. They
Definitely. But I think if you look at Newcastle as well, I think they finished top 4 obviously in that first real season.
Yeah, the proper year, yeah.
In that first real season. And I think from there on, it's just like now about establishing Newcastle as a big club.
Yeah.
And I think establishing Newcastle as a big club means they finish top 6.
Yeah.
Year in, year out.
Yeah.
And they finished, 6th last year? Or did United finish 6th?
No, they
finished 6th.
That would have been, it's 7th or 6th, one of the two there.
Maybe 7th, yeah. But that if they have another year like that, they're establishing themselves. Sometimes if you go look at some of the teams, they need just those couple of years sitting in and around it.
Yeah. And it's just the before. Like I know
the performance.
We're coming on.
We're
we're coming onto it literally now. But the performances and the home form, like I used to go into every home Newcastle game and think, they at least got 2 goals in their bag here. It just feels like it's not slipping away, but it just feels like that initial rush that you have with the way they're playing great football. You saw it in that Carabao Cup run. And they were doing well in the Champions League initially. They had the group of death and were still competing. And it's just like, it doesn't feel the same Newcastle team. So I don't know. It's just something to think about because I think they'll want to be very progressive. Let's get into it. The big segment this week, which is grading each team's start to the season. Bit of performance, bit of ladder, bit of expectation as well in it all. We go, the grading system. So A to F or D or E, however you want to go with it. We're going to go from ladder. So from bottom, we'll go up to the top. I'll go first this week. So Southampton bottom still.
He's on Wolves.
Oh, I can see that. I did this as the Wolves game was on. It might be Wolves because they conceded. Yeah, they conceded. Wolves. I want F.
Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
That does itself. They conceded too many goals.
A lot of these teams, it's pretty self-explanatory. They conceded. Well, whether they've conceded too many goals or not, they're last and a team that probably most people may have had in and around the relegation, but definitely not on 1 point after 9 games.
8 games now.
8 games, yeah. And I think anywhere in the relegation is a fail for them.
Yeah, I think it's well and truly a big fail for Wolves. And because Gary O'Neill, it's his system, defence first, the fact they've conceded so many goals, it's totally off that. Southampton as well, I've got an F for them as well, to be honest.
I've gone a D just because they're a newly team that's come up.
Yeah.
And also the fact I feel like they've been decent in comparing them to the teams that came up last year as the worst of the 3. I wouldn't say they've been that bad. Like if you go look at the 3 from last year, I'd probably say they're actually better than all 3.
This is down when I look at it. The performance has been okay, but they've thrown away way too many points.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is just... If you've got 1 point, it's same as well. They literally got 1 point after 8 games. They're a team that needs the points early on because as the season goes on, we saw with Sheffield United last year. If you don't have those points, the heads go. It all falls apart. It could be over by the 15th game.
I agree.
So that's the only thing I'm worried about. Yes, I'm being a bit harsh, but I think for Southampton, I need them to have 10 points by the first 15 games. But they're looking tough to get that. Palace,
F. Yeah, I think. I don't know if this is you've put a massive expectation on my head for Palace, but like they were good last year.
Yeah.
Quite good. And to be in a relegation fight this early on, and obviously it is early on, so a lot can change. There's time and everything. But if you look at the gap that's already been created, it looks like at the moment in time, the only place they can go up is one spot. Which doesn't really put them in much security at all. So I think for them as a team that would have been at least looking to be in the same position they were last year.
Yeah.
What did they finish last year? 13th, 12th?
I think it was 11th.
Or 11th,
some of that.
even
Some of that.
even
Yeah,
more
it
to
was
the
very
point.
high, yeah.
Yeah, even more to the point. I think quite disappointing start to the season. What are they on? 3 points?
Then 3 draws, that's it. Yet to win.
Yeah, yet to win. So that's
That's the
disappointing.
big bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, the drop-off of Mateta, the drop-off of Gahey, it's... The only player I think can hold his head high is probably Will Hughes and maybe some of the new guys like Sarr, but Ez has been poor.
Yeah.
And it's the players you expect that would be okay that are not being okay.
Yeah.
And that's the problem for me. That's what's really bugged me. Ipswich next.
A.
An A.
Yeah, I think Ipswich, of all the 3 teams that have come up, like, they've probably got the poorest squad, I'd say.
Yeah.
The most
yeah.
inexperienced.
Yeah.
Inexperienced for sure. And they're a team that did it in the championship, but also did it in the championship probably, and could have very easily been one of those years where they just had a great year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if they were even a top 5 squad for a championship last year. When you look at predicting going into the start of last year, I don't think anyone expected them. And for them to not be, in my opinion, in the relegation zone right now, although they're very close and tight, I think is all out a positive for them.
Yeah, maybe I've done it a bit hard. I just went a flat, like, standard C. Because, again, is it more just because Palace has been rubbish that they're not in there sort of thing?
But I think it's a positive result. If you came to me and go 8 weeks in, Ipswich aren't in the bottom 3,
Yeah,
you'd say that's a very good result.
Yeah.
And maybe A is too high, but I think definitely the B would have been a...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at them, like them and Southampton, but if they were both out of the relegation zone, you say that's a positive. Leicester's the only one where you'd probably be a bit more harsh on because you felt like that was a lot more of a chance.
It is, but at the same time, they've not been... Like, they got battered by West Ham. Really average on the weekend. Like, if I look at it in all, outside of the Villa performance, and for 35 minutes versus Liverpool, they've really just been Delap football. Like, it's just fine Delap, hope he can score. Hutchinson hasn't been the same player. Davis has struggled in the top flight. Am I being harsh? Yes, but all in all, it's actually not been that great. It's just been a fact of Wolves and Palace being so bad that because 4 points, yes, it's okay, but I don't think it's far from perfect.
I think you're trying to go on more the thing of if they were to end at on their trajectory, they'd only have probably 18 points at the end of the year. And 18 points, you're not really surviving.
I don't see this being sustainable if it turns it around. But as it currently stands, I can say bang average C. It's what I probably would expect from Ipswich in the end. Everton,
B.
Dyche football, O and B as well.
Yeah, I think if we go back 3-4 weeks, we probably is a completely different narrative. But they had 2 games in a row where they probably should have had an extra 4 points, was it?
Yeah,
or
it was
5 maybe.
I think 4. I think it was 4 in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 points. They're on 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
8 points, 8 games. They continue at this trajectory. They're staying up this
Absolutely
year.
easy.
They're staying up. And to be honest, it looks like they've taken a turn. So these next couple of games, I'm not too sure who they're versing, and they could have hard results. But the confidence is there. Their performances, at least for the last 4 match weeks, if not 5, have been positive. I think they've got, in the last 3, 2 wins and a draw. Yep, in the last 3. The two before that, they might have got a draw in that and a loss, in which both, I'm pretty sure, they were up as well.
Yeah.
So their last 5 games, they've probably been the better team in all 5. And the big thing for us, I think, was after those drop of points, could they still come back? And they have. And the fact they have is enough to say, I think they're staying up. And
it's a fill me confidence.
Yeah, and if you told me they were on 8 points, I don't know if maybe this is me going, if you told me they were on 8 points and in 5th last and doing what they're doing 3 weeks ago, I'd go that's a B. Or if I'm thinking of it, like maybe if you think of it from the start of the season, they're still Everton and they probably should still stay up. So them is probably maybe a simple pass mark.
I think it's the way they've turned it around.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
like mentally, I thought they'd fall. I thought they'd capitulate, but they played good. And again, this is the point to Ipswich. Ipswich were nowhere near them on the weekend. No. Everton were playing some like some of the best football I've seen them play in a long time. So to Dyche's credit, he's got the team. It's same players. He hasn't changed the squad really.
It's Dyche though.
In Dye comes in as your like superstar player, and he does it to it's Dyche to a T. It's the players he knows plus a new guy, the French dude who just bags goals and it just works. Like DCL looks back to his best again. They're defensively solid, and the midfield I think with like Nick McNeil, Harrison, Decore, they look back when they're on form. The team's on form.
The thing is the thing that was shaky was Dyche football is based on defend first. We'll worry about attack later.
Yeah.
And that looked shaky the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But now the defence is back, it's like, you know what? If we shore up that defence, like Dyche loves to do, hit back with the 4-4-2, everyone deep, then there are chances that are going to come.
Yeah.
It's always going to happen. It was just a matter of fact was that defence good enough to be shored up?
Yeah.
But it's done it. Those players are experienced players who have done it for so many years, whether it was last year when Everton were a lot better or back in the Burnley days. They're players that have done this, played to a system. And, they're not excellent players, but they're Dyche football players who are perfect for this system. And they've done it so many times that, if I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure why everyone, including myself, didn't back them in.
Yeah, I'm always sceptical on them, but I've been proven wrong. They've been fantastic. West Ham, I went D. Yeah. It's not like awful. They're not like where Wolves and...
No.
But
in the same way, they probably should have been above Wolves and Palace.
But they should be above them in the top half. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not an average pass. We just talked about them previously. For me, it's worrying because, it feels like taking steps back. They've made transfers to go forward. Their football's gone backwards and they're stuck in this really strange spot where mentally I think there's a bit of disconnect between the manager and the players and looks a bit frustrations. Yeah. And if Paqueta, Bowen and Kudus continue not to be involved, like the manager can't stay.
I completely agree. Couldn't say better myself.
Leicester, this is a big one.
B+.
Yeah, I went B+ as well. Exactly, B+. I try to avoid the pluses and minuses, but I feel like you had to for Leicester.
Yeah, I felt like you had to as well. I don't think they've been an A because
no.
Like they're the one team that of the three that came up that I don't know if you were expecting, but they were the one team that definitely had the capabilities, personnel to avoid relegation, to push a little bit up the ladder. And they've done that so far. They've been quite good. But the reason I didn't give them an A was the reason of when you look at their squad in its entirety, they've got good players. We're talking about the likes of Ndidi, who was in their squad when they finished top 4.
Yeah.
So not in their squad. He was their starting DM when they finished top 4.
Yeah, Champions.
The likes of Harry Winks, who started in the Champions League final, and is still not old or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going around saying Harry Winks is a great player. Definitely not in a top team. But he'd be playing for most of the middle Premier League teams.
Yeah. Then
you look at, maybe Jamie Vardy is over-exceeding for his age.
Still top player though, isn't he?
Like the likes of James Justin, they're good players still.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players in that team. When you're comparing them to the likes of Southampton and Ipswich, they are just level above in terms of quality. Yeah. And then even when you start comparing them to the teams around them, like the likes of the Forests of this world, who are actually playing, we'll touch on them soon. The Forests of this world, the Wolves and the Palaces. They've got teams, in my opinion, of quality on par.
Yeah. And that's the thing. For me, an A would be if they're right now currently around like 11th, 12th, because you could see that early season, you can see them being around that spot. So I'm still holding back a little bit because they do have the ability. That's what you said it there well. They have the ability to jump into 12th or 11th at some point in this season. So it's not quite bang on perfect. And it's because of the fact as well, like they've only just started to turn it around. Yeah. They've got 7 points in the last 3 games. So it was looking a bit ugly. They've fixed it up with a few big wins, but still a lot more to go for Leicester, I feel like, as well. Brentford.
C.
You went C. I went B.
Okay.
Performance B. I'm going to go for the performance B.
Yeah, they've been really good, but I feel like everyone's been talking about Brentford. And Mbuemo's stepped up for Tony. Yeah. But what are they sitting in? 14th, 13th?
It is 13th for Brentford.
Yeah, and 13th. And I'm not saying that's a bad outcome. Like, if they finish 13th at the end of the season, I don't think that'd be that disappointing. But I think there's been too much hype. And I think that's been performance-based. They've been quite good performance, but maybe recency bias from the weekend. But they were really, really poor. They didn't create anything whatsoever on the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't see Onana even like that. Apart from that one goal in which I think it was a bit dodgy
Yeah,
either
dodgy
way.
all
Like
in
we
all,
got
yeah.
our
10 men.
tallest player on the field out.
Yeah. Now, like I look at it. So 2-1 Palace, I think that was a really good win opening day. Yes, they went down 2-0 to Liverpool, 3-1 versus Southampton, 2-1 only to Man City, 3-1 to Spurs, 1-1 at West Ham, 5-3 over Wolves. Like all in all, in terms of each game, they're sort of in it at some point.
Yeah.
And that's just a Thomas Frank. That's on the weekend. That's Thomas Frank to a T. Go to Old Trafford, have like a negative XG almost, but still be in the 90th minute chance to potentially draw
Yeah,
it. That's
definitely.
Thomas Frank football. The B for me, sort of like, to be honest, if they finish where they are at the end of the year, probably still give them a B. But this is sort of where they should be. But the performances for me that's been really impressive, considering how bad they were relegation this time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just above Sheffield this time last year. So they turned it around. And I forgot about the Tony thing as well. Without Tony as well, that's got to give a little bit
Fair
of a
enough.
boost up there. So I went B for Brentford. Forest,
B
B plus. Yeah, B plus, B plus.
Yeah, and I think they've been really good, but they were also really good probably first 5 match weeks. They've dropped off a little
Yeah, a
bit
little
since
bit.
then. Like,
Yeah.
I think they were in the top 10 to drop to 12th, and 12 isn't bad. And considering all things, if they've probably finished in 12th at the end of the season, you'd probably give them an A. You'd push
I'd give an A.
yeah, you push
Yeah.
an A minus at worst.
A minus at worst, yeah.
At worst, but so I think this might be a little bit harsh, but in the same way, I think they've had a semi-easy fixture run.
It's just, they drew Bournemouth opening day. I think
Yeah.
that's a good result.
Good result.
Beat Southampton on the road, decent. The Wolves home draw for me is the one that tarnishes it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you beat Liverpool away, you draw to Brighton away, then you lose at Fulham at home, but then you go and draw to Chelsea away. So it's sort of like they've actually probably gotten the points against the harder teams and dropped the points versus the easier ones.
It's an interesting one.
But that's Forest though. Isn't that that's where Forest
yeah,
is?
but
That's-
looking at where we probably all predicted them, they were the one team that we were looking at. They could go down.
yeah, it was an opportunity. Like if the things don't line up,
Yeah,
they drop.
but they've been quite good, and if they were continuing this way, I just think that when you look at it, to me they're 12th, but like the likes of United have just gone past them and stuff like that, and they're going. Whether United are going to be good about this, I think they still finish
still stay above
Forest.
Forest,
And even other teams, like I feel like Leicester's knocking on that door. If West Ham turn it around, they're knocking. They'll go past them. Like they're probably they could have the same season they're having right now at the end of the season, and I don't think they finish 12th is the best way to
Yeah,
explain
there's other
it.
good teams that will
Yeah.
pounce on it. Yeah, that's fair enough. I've just been really impressed defensively as well. They've been really much better. United.
D minus.
I got
an
loud. I just put a D. I just put a flat D.
Yeah,
but-
they're not an F.
Yeah. No.
If they lost on the weekend, they were an F.
You know what? It would be an F if you lost to Villa and it got bad. But the way I was sort of somewhat impressed with the way they just stopped the blood. Like they just put pressure on the wound against Villa, held on. Johnny Evans masterclass. Maguire came in and did a fantastic job. And 9 points. Like that was sort of like a character. Teams that don't have character, you sort of whack Fs on them. Like they can't fight. They can't.
They're just a weird one. And I've always said they're a weird one. It doesn't, like, you look at that performance on the weekend, you look at the Villa performance, it doesn't look like the players have, like, it doesn't look like Ten Hag's lost the dressing room.
No.
But in the same way, I don't really understand, like, the minimum you'd think is these players would at least have that Villa performance week in, week out, where it wasn't great, but they were passionate, they were strong in the tackle.
Yeah.
They did the small things that don't really require that much quality, I'd say.
Yeah. It's just work ethic and effort and stuff like that.
Probably the weekend showed the bit more of that quality side of things. But yeah, it's just, I don't really understand what really goes on.
That's my point with United. I said it on Instagram. I posted in one of the posts someone put up. He said, we're so weak defensive. I'm like, no, United are really good defensive where we want to be defensive, but then we lack quality going forward. When we want to go forward, we commit Dalot forward, Mazraoui forward, and then we become so weak defensively. So you've got to find that happy medium. And to be honest, on the weekend, fair play. I think we found the happy medium on the weekend. It was a balanced performance.
My just worry with United is like, Christian Eriksen is good player when you verse those low block.
Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford types.
Yeah.
But he's not that guy as soon as we got to play like quite intense.
Spurs.
Yeah.
We saw it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Quite intense, fast-paced football.
Yeah.
Which, Yeah, it kind of concerns me because I'm like, who is that guy in that position?
No one yet. It's supposed to be Ugarte,
But is it?
but it's
Well, maybe Ugarte and Mainu when
Yeah.
they do play, but Ugate's not even getting a game. They're going back to Casemiro.
the old trio of
they
Eriksen.
started Ugarte, didn't play great,
Yeah, got rid of it.
got rid of him. Show like that's not much confidence in
No.
your new signing,
But
but
it can't back it up. Yeah, there's a problem going. Chelsea 2 weeks time. Chelsea, that's the big marker.
yeah,
Because they look very serious. So I think we both agree it could be worse.
definitely.
It could be much, much worse. Bournemouth, I went B plus.
Bournemouth, I also went B plus.
Yeah. I think it's obviously made it to look a lot better because of the weekend and the weekend prior to that. It could, if you go on the Leicester result 2 weeks prior and if you had lost this weekend, it looks really bad.
Yeah,
because of how
definitely.
the points work out. But because the points are in their favour, and then watch, again, as a key Bournemouth watcher watching most of their games, they've played really, really well most games. Like they're really entertaining team to watch. They don't get the output. Dom Solanke leaving.
Yep.
That's a big sort of booster for them, the fact they've still stayed well. Once Evan Alisson gets his form under him and he starts playing like he did, hopefully, in Portugal, in England, I think they fly. I think if United continue to be in and out, if Newcastle be in and out, if Fulham drop off, there's a spot in the top 9 for
definitely.
Bournemouth, which is like a big. They're sitting 9th there,
10th.
10th there now. You can easily climb a spot or two up, which is ridiculous for
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
great performance on the weekend.
Oh, that's great. It was amazing.
There was a couple other chances they had that, yeah.
Could have added a few more. I think we agree though. It's definitely overachieving for the small club. Fulham.
A.
So you went A.
I know they've been not great as of probably the last 2 match weeks.
Last two, because they lost to City and then lost on the weekend.
Yeah, but if you look at that Fulham team, really they only brought in Smith Rowe from last year.
Yeah.
That's a proper and they lost Paulinho, and I know Andreas Pereira's covered that quite well.
Yeah.
But he's not that type of player. We didn't expect him to be that type of player. We've seen him play that role before, and he isn't that player.
Yeah.
And just to bring in Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe's been good, but I wouldn't say either as well. He's been like the best player going around. He's been good, but for them to be in 9th position at the moment, I think that's definitely well overachieving.
It's a funny one because where do we have them? I can't remember I had them predicted wise, but for me,
I think I had maybe 12.
I feel like they are where they are. Sort of like I think this will be Fulham this year. It'll be 9th, 10th, or 11th. Again, them and Bournemouth might be fighting for that final top half spot. But when I look at the results,
I think that's interesting though, because
but
when you look at the teams around them, you'd probably, in all honesty, expect United to take 8th.
Yeah.
At bare minimum.
Yeah.
I'd say United. Let's just say United take 8th. So that pushes
everyone down one.
Actually, sorry, United to take 9th.
Yes, everyone goes down one. So Fulham comes 10th, Bournemouth 12th.
Because you'd say Brighton are going to still be up there the way they've been
they'll
playing.
hold, Villa will hold.
Yeah, so
Chelsea,
United to
Spurs.
take 9th at least. And you just don't know what could happen with the likes below them, like the likes of West Ham. If West Ham are better, in my opinion, I still have a better squad that if they were to go on a run, they could take that 10th, 11th.
It's just worrying me to see draw to Ipswich, draw to West Ham.
Yeah, that's the problem.
This is Fulham. This I always say this. They're the biggest yo-yo club in the Premier League. That's why they always finish 11th and 12th. But that's just what they are in this modern era. I think they've got some great performances in there that probably deserve maybe an A, but I feel like they're just a B. They're overachieving some of the performances they did. Away to City, good. But games like on the weekend, just not competitive versus Villa. It's just where they are. I think they're sitting where they're going to be. Newcastle.
C.
I went C minus.
Yeah, they were close to a D. I just think that 8th, they would definitely be expecting better, but with the caliber of teams around them, that type of thing. Yeah. More so, the reason you'd push for the D is maybe the performances.
And that's when I come to that previous point before we went into it. It's not really convincing. They got that 1-0 win versus Southampton opening day. Southampton had 10 men. They got a late winner in another game. Wolves, they got a late winner. So it's not been remarkable. They got some good results. Early in the season, I kept saying it. Fair play. They're here where they were unbeaten still, but they hadn't been performing well. Now find the results and match the performances, and it's they're just sort of where they are. Again, they're sort of the bare minimum. That's why I've gone C minus. Performances aren't great, but their position is probably the bare minimum which they want. So C minus for Newcastle.
Yep.
Getting to the big boys now, Spurs.
C plus.
So I just want a B.
Okay. I'm not sure they push a B. Just because we look at them last season, they were good, finished fifth. No, fourth.
Fifth. Oh no, mate, no, I think six. No, six in the end because they're in conference league football. Yeah, fifth in the end.
Fifth. No, they're Europa. Them and United Europa.
Europa League football.
Yeah, so finished fifth. Like, they've made some all right signings, I'd say. That is more so helps the biggest problem they had last year, which was their depth, because I don't think anyone questioned their starting 11.
No, the starting 11's fine, yeah.
Yeah, their starting 11 was fine. Like, bro, not going to win a league, but it's fine to be
strong,
around.
Yeah.
Be around that, and they just haven't kicked on. And I think they've been the pass mark, just above the pass mark.
Yeah.
That's why I'm giving them a plus,
C plus, yeah.
C plus. But yeah, the C plus and a B, they're borderline the same.
I probably
thing.
should. I should do more in depth. Yeah, B minus probably is more realistic, but
yeah.
I went to your earlier point that I'm sort of backing Anjing because he stick to his guns.
Yeah, definitely.
That's respect marks, almost just sticking to your guns. And on the weekend, they showed why they can bounce back. Chelsea, this is a funny one, Chelsea.
B plus.
I want A.
Okay, see, I agree with you if you look at the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They've been completely terrible, but they're still Chelsea.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're not, like, they're not even Tottenham. They're Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like, there's the Tottenham bit, like, where, Tottenham have never been that good.
Yeah, big side forever.
But they're a big side.
Yeah.
Chelsea are a huge side, in my opinion. Like, Chelsea's as big as, well, you'd say there's that big 5 teams.
Yeah.
There's that real big 5. Then you got, in my opinion, Tottenham's, who's slightly on its own category.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 2 underneath now. And then probably there's a big drop off from there.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, big
Nostalgia,
clubs.
big clubs,
Nostalgia. Nostalgia. And they're in that big 5, in my opinion, Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, although they've been terrible, and it's a big step up, and I think that's why we're giving them a B plus in 5th, because to be honest, still with their squad and everything, they probably should. If they hadn't had the last 2 seasons with the squad they have right now, and they were in 5th, you'd probably give them a C plus.
Yeah.
With the club they are.
The club they are.
But I get where you're coming from, because you're comparing it to what that happened in the last 2 years, and you're saying, to be honest, this is a step up.
Yeah, I see the thing. That's three things. I see a clear pattern of football.
Yep.
I didn't expect the bounce back from the manager, from Poch leaving to Maresca being this good, and
Maybe this quick. Yeah.
Yeah, this quick. And thirdly, probably recency, but last night they were, in terms of playing the game. Like, you don't play the game, you don't win the game by playing the game, but playing the game wise, they outplayed Liverpool. Like, they possession wise and build up wise, they're still lacking that ability to break down a big side. Like you saw against Man City opening day, they weren't quite at it because Man City just took their chances. But Chelsea are good in the ball, they're good in possession, they have a clear pattern of play. I think they finally worked out their starting 11 as well. Like, get rid of Enzo, get Lavia and Caicedo in there.
Yep.
I'm just impressed at how quickly I think they've turned. So, because then Brighton are flying, Villa are flying. If those two just play to their standards, Chelsea nick a sort of spot. They're around top 4 now.
Yep, definitely.
And it's like, that's probably where we want them to be. So I'm backing an A, and I think they've been really impressive for what I expected in the season. Brighton.
A.
Yeah, it's A.
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The position they're in, probably a lot of us, well, I'm pretty sure I was expecting them to be near that relegation zone. Hadn't really made any real decent signings.
We did that before they made their signings.
We did it before they made the signings. But still, I wouldn't say, if you look at them from last year and they were looking to go, they were looking on the way down.
They were down, yeah.
Down. The signings they've brought in, like, they've been good signings. Like, Rauda's been really good.
FIFA in midfield's been good.
Yeah, but you didn't expect them to be this high.
Not this good.
Like, it definitely needs to be an A if they're anywhere probably above top 8.
Yeah, because I think 8 was probably the max you could think of. I think we all had them bottom half.
Yeah, so do we expect them to be there come into the season? Probably not.
If they are, far out.
But if they are, they'll be being A+++++.
Yeah, that's an achievement and a half. And fair play to the new manager as well. It's another good point. They've got a new manager there. Villa.
A again. I just think that you go look at Newcastle, they had that drop off that second year.
Yeah.
Villa, I know the performances haven't been there, but I think the performances come. We know Unai has performances. He's got a clear game plan. So the fact they're I'm actually going to flip it
Yeah.
and go the fact they're fourth and getting points at the moment
Yeah, it's a positive in there.
is a positive because once they do click, then what are they? 2 points off City and Arsenal?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Once they do click, they could be there.
Yeah.
Which is like,
That's true.
to me, it's got to be the
true.
A.
Yeah, 'cause I'm an A minus because of basically 'cause the United game.
Yeah, okay.
But
And maybe the Ipswich game.
And in the Ipswich game as well, because there's a little patch there that just, even on the weekend, it wasn't the best Villa performance, but they're just getting the job done, which
That's
is
the thing,
probably
yeah.
is credit in the bank. The thing that was going to be interesting though is can they get Leon Bailey like firing again?
Yeah.
Like how do they work Duran and Watkins in? This is not into their rating, but for them to be this team that keeps playing good football no matter what, you need that depth to come in and play.
Yep.
I feel like that when they rotate around, they just don't quite get that same performance. Like we saw against United, there were a few tired legs. They didn't quite get there. But
That's fair.
yeah, I went A minus just for that. Arsenal.
C plus.
Wow. Oh, okay, you went C plus.
Where did you go?
I went B plus.
Nah, see, in my opinion, although they're third, this is their season. Rodri's out, okay? And to be honest, I probably would have given them a better mark, but they've dropped a few points as of recent. Those 3 points on the weekend are huge. And, like, it just seems to me that everything's lined up for them and they just don't want to take it. And don't get me wrong, they're 3 points off City, 4 points off Liverpool.
Yeah, fourth level, yeah.
But, yeah, they need to be smashing down. This is their year.
This is funny because I believe that. And this is sort of like, we're having that argument, me and Phil in the Go chat last night. I'm really critical on Arsenal, sort of to your point. I think that they've self-inflicted those games for the red cards. I think that's their fault. I don't care how soft or non-red they are, they're red cards. You've made the mistakes.
It's a red card.
You made the mistakes.
The only reason people can argue it's not a red card is because they didn't give that one when he dragged it in the I think 2 weeks 2 weeks ago.
Prior to that.
But that being a red card, okay, how can I explain that? They're either obviously both not red or both are red.
Yeah.
I just think there was a mistake with the other one. I don't think there was a mistake with the Saliba one.
Yeah.
It's a clear one-on-one chance. According to the rule book, they're both red cards. Just because that other one wasn't a red card, it shows again the lack of consistency. But it doesn't show that this isn't a red card.
Like, that's sort of where I come to my whole their performances for me is sitting around an A minus B plus. So that's why I've got them at B plus. The results obviously don't follow that, but the reason that you'll probably hear me next week more in depth when Flynn's here be so harsh on Arsenal is if you want to be a champion and a winning team, and if you want to be regarded as the world-class team, you can't have these brain fades. Like if you're Saliba, you're quick enough to hold Evanilson off. If you're Declan Rice, who I consider to be one of the top smart midfielders, yes, no, it's shithousery, but you just got a yellow. Don't roll the ball. I don't care how. Don't roll the ball away. Trossard, why are you acting up? It's a big game. Keep your emotions in. So if you're regarded as a world-class team with world-class players and a champion team, these red cards can't happen. But if I look at the performances,
have they been there?
What's this?
Have they been?
I think the performances
A minus.
I think the performances are still of a quality of that A.
But
B
I
plus
think you
material.
get to the point where their performances, in an essence, are a C minus, a B in comparison to what they've done for the last 2 years. That's now the standard, is how I look at it. So that's our standard. Them in that first season when they were doing this, it was an A plus because it was you go on expectation. Is this not just them at expectation?
If I not flip the mirror back on myself and be reputable myself, City have set this impossible standard to reach. We cannot expect teams just to keep banging out 4-0s and dominating games. I respect Liverpool and I love watching Liverpool, but I stood by them last year where they were scraping over the line by you guys' standpoint. Yeah. I thought they were playing some great football. I said they're still doing it well. I don't care if they go 2-0 down and win 4-2. They're still playing good football. I still think Arsenal's still playing some great passages, great movements. Without Saka on the weekend at Erdegaard, it hurts them, but their performances are still good enough for me.
I just think the way I look at it is, if they'd done this for one season, fair enough. If this was their first season, 100% fair enough. But it's a bit like, well, you've given Chelsea that A plus, which I think is completely fair.
A,
sorry, an A,
yeah.
because which is I can understand and be completely fair because their last 2 seasons been so poor,
Yeah.
so their expectation is down.
Yeah.
But Arsenal's has been so good that their expectation is up.
He's up.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
And
It's like City. City winning the league is a really okay. So City being first right now, I wouldn't even put that as an A plus. I'd put that as a B plus because it is expected that they're going to be first. If they obviously finish and win the league, it's an A plus because they've won the league. But I'm saying that's them being first. Them they need to be first at this stage by 3 to 5 points for me to go A plus already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
I
it's
get that.
City,
Yeah.
which is the same with Arsenal. I'm not saying that Arsenal need to be, but Arsenal for them to get a B plus.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's if they're achieving above expectation is the best way. They're just achieving at expectation.
Yeah, I don't know. I've encountered the performance a lot in my list, and I just still think the way they've played is still for me been good enough.
Yeah, okay.
And expectation, yes, it's high, but you still got to be like they're
So you
still
think
in the
they're
title
doing
race.
better than what is expected of them?
This is sort of funny, but when you get to these top teams, yeah, I still think they are. Yes, they've dropped a game. They drew to City, but you look at their start of their season. It's been incredibly difficult. Spurs on the road, City on the road. You know, you've had to play. What was the last team they played? They played Spurs, City. They played Chelsea. There's another team in there. Their start of the season has not been easy either.
Oh, I agree.
To take it in.
I think because we're so early on, little games like the one on the weekend make a big difference in the rating.
Yeah.
Because if you go to match week 16, and this happened at match week 16, it's obviously, that's only one game out of 16. So the differential it makes is so much smaller.
Yeah, I get that.
Whereas, because it's so early on, it makes a big difference. And to me as well, the fact that Rodri's out is like this chance for them. And it's just like they don't want to take it. It's like, is the best way to
Yeah,
explain.
but I feel like you can't have Rodri a part of their rating, though. It's a bit like... It's
I
taking
get what you're
external
saying,
factors.
but it's not City of old in the same way as
true,
well.
it's
If
true.
you had a City of old, you just go, oh, you're what, fair enough. Are they really going to beat City? And if they do, like, that's an exceptional. I think either way, it's an exceptional season. You beat City, but there's a little there's that little asterisk with Rodri being out.
That's true. We can build in it when we get into the game a bit
Yeah.
later. But yeah, I'll stick with my guns, B.
right.
City, I went A for them. I've been impressed.
I went B.
And B.
I've been impressed, but I think in my rating is Rodri being injured has decreased the rating. I don't know how to explain. Don't. Like, I just think it's decreased the rating. Rodri being injured.
That's probably upgraded mine, but yeah, I get what you mean. With him not beat, they just don't give much of a fighting hope.
No, it's not that you don't. They're probably still going to go win the league. Like I have no doubt, in my opinion, that probably City are still the favourites.
So right now you have a number one.
Yeah.
Not after last night, and I think Liverpool maybe jumped a gun, jumped above.
Oh, I don't think Liverpool are top 3 still. I think Liverpool are going to push those 2, but I don't think they'll finish top 2. Sorry, not top 3. I don't think they'll finish top 2.
I thought 2. I was like, okay.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Okay.
They'll finish third.
They'll be
Yeah.
third, okay.
They'll finish third, and they'll probably get the 80 points, but I don't think. I think then the top 2 will be 85 plus.
Okay. You still reckon Man City 1, Arsenal 2?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I went A because they keep getting the job done. They're still impressive for me. I don't know how they're going to work this team, though. I'm still not understanding who the starting 11 is because it's like the front line. Sorry,
Yeah.
the back and the midfield we know, but the front 4 players, I don't know how they're trying to configure it right now. It doesn't make any sense to me. But once they get that done, it's going to be very dangerous. And I went Liverpool A+.
Yeah,
Best
A+.
defence in the league.
Yeah, but
Top of the league.
they've been amazing. And for a new manager to come in and have this impact so quickly and
post Klopp as well, it's got to take
lost one game.
One
which It was probably a game they should have.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
Yeah, it's been exceptional.
And then, I think for me, post Klopp has to be taken into that big time as well. Skip through a few here. Southampton 2, Leicester 3. Massive comeback from Leicester. Bonanotte, Vardy, and then 8th minute of stoppage time, Jordan Ayew scoring. This is why I don't trust Southampton, man. You're 2-0 up, and then you go down to 10 men, and they just capitulated.
That's still good, though. Bonanotte's been really
been
good.
really
I'm
good.
not really sure why Brighton got rid of him.
There's just so many players in that spot. They got
I know.
Enciso there as well. Now they've got Jorginho Ruta playing there. Evan Ferguson played with Danny Welbeck as like a 2.
Yeah.
So they've got so many players.
Fair enough.
And he's on loan, so they could bring him. But he's
Definitely.
been a great pickup for Leicester. I'd try and
Definitely
get him
really,
a permanent
really
deal.
amazing.
Massive for Leicester. I said 2 wins in a trot. They get well and truly away from the relegation zone. Ipswich 0, Everton 2. Iliman Ndiaye and Michael Keane in the first half for them. Not really much to talk about this game. Classic Everton though. They just didn't give Ipswich any real chance, and they took
Michael
their 2.
Keane's finish was quality.
That was a Erling Haaland roof of the net type finish. That was a real quality finish. They'd be very happy with that result. Everton again, keeping that performance up, keeping that form up. Who they got if they win again next week, it's getting to a point where it's just back to that little Everton run they had last season, sort of like.
Well, yeah, and that Everton run they had last season also had a deduction of point, like their finishing. So it would have been they would have had 40 plus last season, which is you're getting 40 plus for Everton.
I tell you what, next 4, Fulham at home. We know how Fulham don't travel that well. Southampton away, West Ham away, and Brentford at home.
They could pick
With
up
the form
7
they're in.
points there. And 7 points in those 4 games. I'd say 7 beat Southampton.
Yep.
And I reckon they can beat Fulham and pull a point on the other 2.
Beat Southampton. I reckon you can beat Brentford at home.
Or so you're going 10 points maybe, 9 points.
And I reckon they draw the other 2. So that's 8 points.
Yeah, okay.
8 points on top of the 8 at 16.
To be honest, 6 is a pass.
Yeah.
Well, no, probably 4 is a pass in 4 games.
Yeah. 4 or 5 where you pass mark. For the form they're in, we've been high.
It's higher, you want higher. But if they got 4, I don't think that's disappointing. It's not a disappointment.
But if they get the 8, that's probably them safe.
Yeah, they're probably done.
That's 16.
Yeah, the 16.
With the way the league looks this year, that's probably them safe. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
you're definitely right.
That's crazy. But yeah, fair play to Everton. Keep doing their job. We talked about them already. Sean Dyche football's going incredible. Let's quickly develop an Arsenal quickly. 2-0 Bournemouth. I'm going to quickly touch on Bournemouth before we get into Arsenal.
Yeah.
This is bound to have happened. Like, there's so many times I say in the prediction video every week, I can never rule out Bournemouth at home because it's a weird place. It's small. It's compact. Funny, Man City just beat them there last season. Newcastle struggled this season when they went there. It's a real tough place to play. So it's not disastrous because Areola ball actually I think it's really impressive. But this is Arsenal just. This is me being harsh on now, reverting back on it. This is what I said to Flynn. If you want to be this real big winning team, you can't make these mistakes.
No.
And red card, do we agree? Red card?
Oh, I think it's red card.
Okay. Well, the stand on the weekend is definitely a red card because there's some soft ones on the weekend. So this is red card for me. Last man, Ben White was never getting across. I don't know what.
As I said previously 5 minutes ago, the only reason there is any argument is because that one that was dragged in a couple of weeks ago that wasn't given. And yes, they are very similar, but just because one wasn't given, they still... Okay, I understand. You got to be consistent, and I get that. But I think that one was just a mistake.
Yeah, there's the classic 2 wrongs doesn't make a right.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't fix that up. Ben White's not getting there. He's last man, and he's made obvious contact.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it's a light contact. It's obvious contact, mate.
He's through.
He's still on goal.
He's through for a 1-on-1.
But for your Saliba, man, like why?
Let him go. You either catch him, or worst case scenario, you make. I reckon if he runs through there, he's still probably only at a 25% chance of scoring. Between
100%.
Saliba probably still puts some pressure on him. Raya, and he's got to put it on target. Yeah. And even worst case scenario, he scores. You're 1-0 down in your Arsenal.
Yeah, and you
probably still come back
Yeah.
and win 2-1. But then you get a red card.
and it throws it out.
And it's so early on as well, the red card. And the fact
down to the game.
And the fact is Arsenal still had to push for the win, which probably was the exposing factor. If they were 1-0 up, it's a probably different story.
This is a funny point. I've seen this a lot on the Arsenal TikToks and Sam's
Yeah.
Day. They were being critical that the fans thought they went too defensive by dragging Sterling off for Kiwior to make a back 4 again. So they played back 3, I think, for 5 minutes. Then they took Sterling off, who I think was probably their best attacker on the day.
Yeah.
It just says a lot about how they played. That's the next thing we're going to get onto. But if you're Man United and we were a big team, it's hard to imagine, but if we were in Arsenal shoes, a United fan, would you be happy enough if De Ligt got red carded to drag Diallo or Rashford off to get a back 4? Would you be angry or would you be happy with that?
Nah, you're red carded. It's a massive. It's massive in the game.
Yeah.
I think fans, no matter who you are not realising it.
The extent of it. Yeah.
The extent of it. Obviously, if there's 20 minutes to go, maybe you then make another change and put it forward back on.
Yeah.
But as Arsenal, you still want that you want a solid back four, and you'd say you still have enough quality to go pinch a goal. Yeah. It is the best strategy in my opinion because you're gonna have holes everywhere in any other way pretty much.
Because I agreed with you, but there was a lot of.
I think that's just Arsenal fans now at the moment going, "Oh, we're Arsenal. Look, we're so good. It shouldn't really matter. We should just play on the front foot." But man, like we're still talking about a Premier League team.
Yeah, it's not.
They're still versing a Premier League team who are very, very, very good and competent. And little things, any team in the Premier League, including Southampton, like little mistakes, little errors, they pounce on it.
Yeah, and a Bournemouth side would pounce on something like that. The final thing I want to wrap up before we move into the next game, and we've talked about Arsenal a lot, but Odegaard and Saka are missing, and it felt like there was not the same chance creation. So the build-up play all in all felt good, but it got to the final third and it was what we've been crying out for in all these years. Who's going to break that little pass into a little half space? Who's going to dribble into the area? Who's going to do the Saka versus Southampton and single-handedly win the game? And this goes back and reflects to me onto that midfield because Havertz worked his socks off, couldn't really do much, but he's a forward. I think Sterling for his 35 minutes was impressive, but again, there's only so much you can do. There's a real problem there with chance creation.
Yep.
That midfield looked really, really flat. Declan Rice, Partey, Moreno. If you really have to be devil's advocate, that's 3 sixes playing in midfield. I thought they'd play Moreno and put Declan Rice at like a 10 and make him just go and play progressive front-footed, but he was still sitting in. And this is where I get a little bit worried about Arsenal. I'd love to ask Finn what his thoughts of this would be because Odegaard's a little bit away. Saka might be back next game week, but Saka's going to miss games. I know he's almost invincible. He plays most games, but he's going to miss some games.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's going to happen then when one of them's not there?
Yeah, I think that's the difference at the moment between them and City.
Yeah, City.
City's got those players that can come straight in. And it seems like Arsenal's got that in a defensive capability at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's probably where it ends.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a worry for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with Champions League, you're going to get some injuries, you're going to pick up some knocks. All right, final 2 games, City 2, Wolves 1. We're just going to talk about the controversy, lack of controversy.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a goal?
Yes.
I think it was as well.
Well, Bernardo Silva's ducked and got out of the way, and he's not in the sight. I don't know. I'm not any referee here, and I can call things on major decisions like the Saliba one that I've watched and understand the rule properly, but I'm not completely familiar. Like, I don't know, if a player is in an offside position near the keeper, but my understanding was it had to be in the sight. And it didn't seem like... And when is it in his sight as well? Because he was probably in his sight, but this is well before any contact to the head's made on the header. So, like, probably as the corner's getting whipped in. But prior to Stones making any contact with his head, Bernardo's well out of the way and dark.
That's the thing. The thing I saw on Twitter was he'd like pushed him. But to your point, he pushed him as the ball had just been kicked. He didn't really do anything. And then once the ball was in the air, I think he ducked as the ball was in the air. I don't think he...
so probably... early. And moved out. He wasn't just ducked. And he moved out of the way.
The big thing for me, I think I said it a year or so ago, if the keeper's impacting the fact they can't dive because someone's sort of in their vicinity, okay, I understand that. But I'm pretty sure he's well and truly spaced away. Saka still dived to get to the ball. I just think you're clutching at straws there. And it's unfortunate because Wolves put together one of the
they just need to come out and clear up the rule, I think is the best way to explain it.
I think that the offside rule in this regard is so hard to do it.
Because the only way you can call that offside is if you come out and go, any player in an offside position when a goal's scored, no matter if they've touched it or not,
is offside. But then you got so many good goals overall.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because if you have someone on the goal line,
I don't think that really impacts much, to be honest.
I don't think it was much. The only thing I can understand is a little push. Bernardo sort of pushes Sarr, but he does that so early on. Sarr's time to reset his legs and to make this, and he can still dive. For me, the big thing, if you can still see the ball and dive to the ball, no one's impacted your stuff.
As the contact has been made by Stones, at any point between contact being made
and the ball in the back of the net,
if there's any impeachment there, I think that's what the rule has to be.
And there was none.
I don't think prior to Stones, he's set up perfectly. Well, whether he's set up perfectly, he's got full sight. He's got full range of motion.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can really question that.
We agree.
I think it's
We
pretty.
agree. I think it was just Arsenal fans. It must be
self-explanatory.
Arsenal fans
Yeah.
whining in the Twitter. Fair play. This was. I said to the group chat, this was City of old. Well, it wasn't City of old. This is City of just now. I was like, there's going to be a goal. And I said as well, it's going to be a defender. Like, you just knew, it wasn't going to be like a forward. You
Two
knew
defender goals.
Yeah. Vardiol's goal as well. He's got to be
See all like-
just playing the Prem.
Yeah, have you seen all like the things on Twitter? It's like bloke had to be a striker in his junior years.
Bro, that
had
was
to
wicked.
be.
Top bins. That was top bins in the corner.
Just 6 goals in 2024 from the fans, which is crazy.
When you think
And
about...
none of them are headers either, I don't think.
Oh, there was one header back into last season.
Okay.
But if you come from last 10 games of last year and this year, he's at the Gundogan.
Yeah.
Clutch moment, Vardiol whacks it. And I don't know why no one closed him down. You got to know this guy is like a goal-scoring defender. And no one came out to him. I'm like, take your time, touch, score. And then Stone's header. It was the 18th corner. Like, it was... Wolves, it was
Anyone had that 15+ corner market paying like $8?
Mate, sports we winning big time with that one there. But I tell you what, it was going to happen. It bound to happen. I feel sorry for Wolves, but that's the beast the City is. And then the final game last night, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. It was one of those big games that never really delivered in terms of entertainment.
No.
It was more of a play between the 2/3 type of game. Again, I said Chelsea outplayed in terms of just possession and build up Liverpool, but they didn't do anything with it.
No.
I think the XG would have been really, really small. Good goal for Jackson, but this again, it's similar to City, man. This is why I sort of just trust Liverpool and City more. Maybe because I've had the history of it all, but they just get these wins.
Yep.
Like Salah, penalty spot, converts it easily. Jones, good goal for the for the 51st minute there. I just think though you look at this Liverpool side. Yes, I understand why you think they're third best team, but I'm in the same spot as last season where I backed him at the start of the season to be third, but watching them, they're overachieving what I thought they'd do. Like this, for me, people can. They're the best defense in the league right now. They're the best in the league. When Salah plays, that's the problem. When Salah plays well, they look $1 million. When he's not playing well, you need Gakpo and Johnson. It's about the others who can perform. But right now, best midfield, best defense right now for me. And that, again, to your point, depends how far and how long they can do it. But right now, for me, they're achieving really well.
I don't think they're necessarily going to drop off. Like, there's not going to be a big drop.
Big drop, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that as the season comes through, like, are they going to pick up every 8 match weeks, 7 wins?
Yeah,
I don't think that's
true.
realistic. Probably more looking at maybe 5 wins, 2 draws around that mark.
And again, to your point,
which isn't bad. Like that's real. That you take that as a Liverpool, as a Liverpool fan of Liverpool's. Maybe not at the moment because like they're so up on their high horse.
Oh,
like,
they're very up about it now.
They're up on their high horse. Oh, we got a 3-point gap and 4 points to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, 1 point to City and 4 points to
Arsenal.
Arsenal, but yeah, like you gotta be realistic here. They don't have the squad, in my opinion. If they win the league, that's an outstanding achievement because they don't have the current squad to go with Arsenal and City into the far season.
Yeah. And they haven't played Man City yet, which is a big...
Especially when they got... Like, they don't have much depth either when Champions League really comes into play.
Yeah, when you get those 7th and 8th games of the Champions League, you're going to have to really test your squad there. But there you go, that's the week done. Let's quickly, to finish up the episode quickly, just the combined 11. Big game on Sunday, I think.
Yep.
Is Liverpool-Arsenal. I want players who are available.
Yeah, I did as well.
Okay. You know what, let's do the whole thing. I'll do the back line first. I went Raya in goal.
Yeah.
Because obviously Alisson's out. Calafiori, Van Dijk, I went Gabriel and Trent as my back 5.
Yeah.
Exact same?
Exact same.
Okay. Midfielder went Gravenberch, Declan Rice, and Dominic Szoboszlai.
Okay.
Do you have the same?
No, I had Odegaard. Oh, no, Odegaard's not fit.
So fit.
Oh, that's the one I've done that's not fit.
Do you have 6 Arsenal players? Can you just make it 6 Liverpool then? You can
I'll
switch
just make
around.
it 6 Liverpool.
And then my front line, man,
It was hard.
it's difficult. I'm going to go Diaz, because I think
Yep,
he'll be
that's what
available.
I've done.
Diaz, Havertz, and Salah.
Exactly the same.
So you got the exact same team.
Yeah, so we had the exact same team. Well, I had Odegaard, me being myself, forgetting that.
Odegaard,
I've remembered everyone else. I remembered Alisson.
Remember Saliba?
Remembered Saliba, so I put Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel in.
I remembered both of those. Remembered Saka.
Yep.
Because I was still like, if Saka was
touch and
fit,
go.
if Saka was fit, I'd just chuck him on the left or something.
Yeah, whack him in, other side,
Like, I feel like
Do a Preston. Just whack him in the
You
wing.
have to do it.
Yeah. You get Saka and Salah. Yeah, makes sense. And he played left wing back as a kid, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so it's wrong, but I would have done it.
Yeah.
So I remembered 3 of them, but I forgot the fourth.
But I'll tell you what, strong team. It's exciting team, that one.
A lot of outs though. Like I would have liked to, if you look back.
I think Alisson goes in for me.
Yeah, Alisson goes in.
Saliba goes in.
Saliba goes in. Yep.
Odegaard goes in.
Odegaard goes in.
And Saka goes in.
Yeah.
Because Havertz, for me, to be honest, this season deserves his spot as a striker. I wouldn't have him as a striker normally, but he's played.
And if you put Saka in, you might then put Jota in as striker.
You might have to change. And I think you're injured last night as well.
I didn't.
I was half asleep. I was half asleep watching it. I have to keep checking in. But there you go. That's the week done, wrapped up. Next week, hopefully, we'll have the 3 of us here. But a big week. We might do a live stream for the Liverpool Arsenal game to wait and see. See if I can conjure 4 people to come and watch that. But yeah, big week to come. We have to review that game, see how Chelsea bounces back, and see if Spurs continue their form. Yep. And does West Ham prove us wrong?
We'll see if United bounce as well.
And United, we
no.
Everton, I think. We don't have no, someone else.
No, we don't have Everton.
Someone in between there. A lot to be excited about. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
We're back on the grind. I think international breaks are not coming for a long, long time. So it'll be Mondays for a long weeks to come. Remember, 5 stars Spotify, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Tune in again on Thursday morning for the second podcast and check out Champions League predictions tomorrow morning. With that being said, guys, we'll see you guys later. Peace out.